Hello, my name is Richard from Silent Peak, and here are 5 essential tips for improving your photography. Number 1, always have a point of interest. Now, a good photo should always have a point of interest, a sort of visual destination for your eye to fall upon. And the best way to understand this is to look at lots of photographs and become conscious of where your eye falls on it and why. Broadly speaking, a point of interest can indeed be anything. If you're lucky, it will be something intrinsically interesting, such as a loved one, a spectacular landmark, or even just the sun in the sky. But even if your point of interest is somewhat dull in itself, it can still serve to anchor down the rest of the image. For example, here is a photo with no distinct point of interest. Now, despite the attractive scene, notice how your eye is wandering all over the place looking for somewhere to rest. Now, this in itself is an important lesson because in real life, this is a beautiful scene that should make a beautiful image. But because we have reduced this attractive scene down to a 2-dimensional photograph, the lack of point of interest means that this photo has no structure and no identity. And this is because unlike real-world scenes, photographs need a distinct point of interest to define them. And just to press the point, here are some photographs with distinct points of interest. Unlike the previous image, these images give your eyes somewhere to stop and rest. Therefore, when you're out and about with your camera, don't just look for attractive scenes, also look for specific points of interest. Not only will identifying your point of interest make your photography better, but it will also make it easier. This is because knowing your point of interest before you even raise your camera will help you determine everything from composition and framing to distance and focal length. Step 2, ignore everything you've been told about composition. Now, on your travels along the internet, you may have learned about various different composition methodologies, such as the rule of thirds and the golden circle. However, I consider these rules an example of backwards thinking. In other words, these rules came about by applying them retrospectively to photos that were taken without even considering these rules at all. Thus, in my opinion, you can achieve great compositions automatically by simply following the steps in this tutorial. For instance, the most essential step that you must take before taking any photograph is consciously identifying your point of interest. And having done so, you've also largely determined your image's composition, given that you now have a target in which you want to emphasize within your frame. However, it is the pursuit of depth that will further refine your composition. Step 3. Go 3D. So sorry to be controversial, but photography is indeed a 2-dimensional medium. But that doesn't mean that we can't try and simulate depth. Perhaps the most obvious way to simulate depth is with background blur. Now, background blur is particularly useful when your point of interest is all important, but the rest of the frame is more or less expendable. Now, a great example of this is classic portraiture, and here you can see how the contrast of our in-focus subject and our blurred background really makes the image come alive. Now, the only downside of this approach is that background blur is something that typically is done much better with more expensive cameras and lenses. Although it is possible to achieve optical blur with your smartphone, you will find that you will need to have your phone almost point blank range with your point of interest, and that interest needs to be sort of in front of a distant background. Now, unfortunately, such shooting conditions are somewhat rare, but fortunately, many smartphones sort of offer background blur facilities that do a rather serviceable job of simulating optical blur. Now, if your camera can't blur backgrounds, applications such as Luminar Neo and Lightroom feature rather easy to use and rather effective background blur features that you can use to blur the backgrounds of photos that you've already taken. Better still, you can try these applications for yourself for free, and to that end, head over to the Silent Peak store where you will find reviews, the latest prices, free trials, and exclusive promo codes that you can use to get a discount at checkout. Now, background blur does have its limitations. Sometimes we need an in-focus and sharp background to give our point of interest context and a sense of place in the world. Thus, in such cases, you can simulate depth using leading lines. Now, a leading line can be almost anything. It can be a stream, it can be a road, it can be a path, it could even be something like a power line or a streak of clouds. But in all cases, a leading line is sort of a linear object that serves to walk your eye from the edge of the photograph to your point of interest. Furthermore, identifying features such as leading lines will further help you with your composition, demonstrating once again that good composition is derived rather than planned. And the final way you can create depth with your photos is with light. Now, during the peak of the day, the sun is overhead and everything is being lit from the top down. As a result, the scene will be evenly lit, there'll be an absence of contrast, and the image will look rather flat. Therefore, when it's practical at least, try shooting during the morning or the evening. At the beginning and end of the day, the sun is low. As a result, your scene is being lit from the side, and this creates shadows, giving everything in your image a more 3D-like appearance. Unfortunately, you can't always control the light, but sometimes you can control the angle. Step 4. Get perspective. So most of us walk around sort of observing the world from the same angle. Therefore, anything you shoot from eye level will appear very familiar because that is how we've all already seen it. Now, for some genres of photography, such as product photography or indeed a classic portrait, honesty is important and the objective is to photograph the element the way that we all see it. But the rest of the time, you can have a lot of fun trying to take unfamiliar photos of familiar things. Now, the easiest way to try this is to shoot overhead or from a crouching position. For example, as a taller person, I was able to get lots of interesting photos of my children by standing on my toes and shooting steeply down from overhead. And for landscapes, I often shoot from a crouched position because it brings the ground closer to the sky. But of course, you can take this as far as you like. For example, you could try photographing your subject from a high vantage point, using your wide-angle lens to create massive distortion, or shoot your point of interest from its reflection using puddles, glass, and mirrors. But critically, knowing your point of interest is all important because it gives you that target. So once you have your target, get your regular humdrum eye-level shot done, and then let your hair down and just try the same shot from many different angles and see if you can take an image of something familiar that nobody else has. And speaking of points of interest, that leads us to our final tip. Tip 5. Your point of interest is sovereign. So as we've already discussed, your point of interest is essential to your photo's identity and structure. Therefore, you should do nothing to diminish it. For example, taking a photo that features multiple points of interest can create confusion within your audience, as well as making creative decisions such as framing and composition much more difficult. But a much more common mistake is to include distracting scenic clutter. In other words, you could take a well-composed image of a well-defined point of interest, but ruin everything because you didn't see the overflowing litter bin in the background, the power lines, and the unwelcome passerby walking straight through your frame. But because you are now aware of your point of interest, you can observe the world around it and look out for unwanted intrusions and react accordingly. Now, in some cases, this just means waiting for the crowds to pass before taking your photo. In other cases, you'll want to remove background clutter by simply stepping forward a few paces and reducing your camera's field of view. And a few moments ago, you might remember me talking about how I like to sort of shoot steeply upwards and downwards for creative effect. Well, the same method can be used to avoid photographing distracting background clutter. But when all else has failed, there is always software. Thanks to generative AI, it has never been easier to remove background clutter from your photographs. Now, these days, most applications have some kind of generative AI erase brush, but I'm particularly fond of those in Luminar Neo, Lightroom, and Topaz Photo AI. And if you would like to try any of these applications and more, drop by the Silent Peak store. Here you'll get the latest prices, free trials, reviews, and exclusive promo codes for discount off the price. So that is it. Those are my 5 tips, and I would be very much interested to hear how you got on with these. Did they improve your photography, or do you feel like I'm missing the point. But if you have mastered these fundamentals, the next step you should take is learning some of the technical aspects of photography. Now, understanding technical principles can't make a bad photo a good photo. However, they can make a good photo better in that when executed properly, you can improve image quality and just expand your creative bag of tricks overall. To that end, I have written up some tutorials explaining things such as aperture, ISO, shutter speed, and focal length over at Silent Peak Photo. Link in the description below. And the other thing you should try is software. Now, it's much the same case. Software can't turn a bad photo into a good photo, but it can give a good photo the finish that it deserves. If you are interested in getting into photo editing, I strongly recommend you watch my video, The Best Photo Editing Applications of 2026, or whatever year it happens to be. Alternatively, drop by the Silent Peak store. Here you will find buyer's guides, reviews, the latest pricing, free trials, and promo codes which you can use to get money off your chosen photo editing application. Like and subscribe if you appreciate this video, and please leave a comment if there is any other thing you'd like me to cover in a future video. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Richard, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.